What's up, everybody? Trip Morgan here with PanthersSource.com, joined by my buddy Billy, as always. Billy.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Panthers football is back. We want to know.
Yeah, I'm glad we started off 1-0. It's really nice to do that.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to get a little excited there. No, yeah, it's definitely awesome. Get a win on the road, especially with Cam having such little time or whatnot. Definitely a gift you'll take. That's for sure. Some good and some bad, obviously, and we're going to get into all that. But first, we'll bring you our show sponsor. It is right here, Etched by B. You can check his stuff out. He does laser engraving. I'll get some pictures to start sharing up here, too. I show this cup every time. This is what he did for us. But really cool stuff. Make great gifts. So check that out. I think he has his websites up now, too. It's Etched by B, spelled the same. etchedbyb.com. You can check all the stuff out there. Talk to him. He can do all kinds of stuff for you. But so let's jump right into it. What are your first initial takeaways from what you saw?
First half was rough. Seeing Cam get that rust in the first half was really bad, and I was like, oh, here we go. Here's another season to start off bad. But CMC, that was incredible to see. Not that he's making all-star plays, but that he is a target that the 49ers today were aware of and opened up a lot of offense. Yeah,
and that was, early on, a report came out right before the game saying that I think it was Jay Glazer from Fox said that he had a source that told him they expect McCaffrey to get 12 to 15 touches in the game, and immediately it was like McCaffrey. And, I put out on Twitter, I said, so about those 12 to 15 touches we were hearing, because you always wonder about those kind of things. And then I think he had 11 to end the first half, and then you're sitting there saying, oh, well, he's going to exceed that 15 mark. Well, no, they come out in the second half, and McCaffrey is used wonderfully on bait. The defense was constantly – and another, was constantly going after him, and it was opening things for, like, the Jonathan Stewart touchdown. But another thing about that was, too, the 49ers took a big blow early, losing rookie linebacker Reuben Foster, who was all over the place. And there was a blown coverage the following play after that led to our first score, which was the Shepard touchdown right here. And you'll see right there, everybody comes this way, leaves that back end wide open. Now, obviously, they all went. So that probably wouldn't have been necessarily right where Reuben Foster was playing, but that was kind of the area of the field. But the blown coverage started. You thought, okay, Cam's getting in a rhythm. Maybe this offense will start to get things going. But in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, well, it's hard to miss this wide-open receiver. But then later, he misses Ed Dixon on a bad throw.
Yeah, the defense froze on McCaffrey wide open, and he just sails it. And it's like, man, I hate to say, I've always been the one that says, watch this, Cam's going to overthrow people. And that was that rust. And hopefully it was knocked off in the second half. We won't see any more of that.
Right, and we talked about this. I know I've talked about it anyway, and I think a lot of people's expectations may have been a little too high coming into this first game for Cam and this offense because they haven't had a lot of time outside of practice. And games and practices are two completely different things, and I think everybody's aware of that. But you had to expect – I expected it anyway. Now, the Dixon throw was pretty bad. You don't like to see that. And especially when people know Cam has a knack for overthrowing anyway, then he turns around and he overthrows. I think it was Kelvin Benjamin on the out the next play. But you saw him get rid of the rust, and then finally in the second half they looked good. But the defense, wow, constantly getting after the quarterback. Strip sack that set up that Russell Shepard touchdown was great to see because initially I think it was Carlos Hyde had 4 carries for 40 yards on his first 4, averaging 10 a gain. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit concerned seeing him gash open the defense like that.
Yeah, I came to the game late, getting off work, and I said, how's the game? Like you said, our defense is getting run over. And as soon as I sat down, it seemed to change. The defense looked like the defense of 2 years ago. It was nice to see them get after the ball and make those stops.
Yeah, and Chandre Williams up here left a comment saying, "Would you say CMC is a new starter?" No, I think still. And look, starting and touches are two completely different things too. And I think everybody, if you don't completely understand that, what I mean is Christian McCaffrey could start the game and have 2 touches the whole game and Stewart dominate. So the starting aspect, depending on who you're playing, how they want to scheme that game, makes all the difference in the world there too. There may be a game or two you see McCaffrey start if they want to do a quick pass route, or maybe they run the ball just to switch things up and try it. You might see that. I thought an interesting formation we saw quite a few times today that I don't remember seeing in the preseason was McCaffrey lined up kind of in the fullback position. They faked the pitch to him, or they faked the handoff to him, and then they're pitching it back the other way to Stewart. I think it worked once or twice for a few yards. Nothing big came off of it, but it worked perfectly in the end zone on the goal line with the Stewart touchdown. All the defense went straight to McCaffrey, and it was basically like a small screen for Stewart. He stood at the line, caught the ball, 3 yards, touchdown.
Yeah, anytime McCaffrey came out of the backfield and went to the slot and just went into the middle of the field, the defense froze, got on him, and it opens up more. And I really, he can be the starter. You can call him the starter, but him being on the field is going to open up so much more. And if he doesn't get the touches, if we win, I'm not mad at it.
No, absolutely. That's the thing. That's why you drafted McCaffrey. He's this versatile weapon. You can line him up anywhere on the field. Rushing, he had 13 carries for 47 yards, and that was the other thing. The Panthers were trying to, they're a run-first team. They always have been. They're physical, win with, stop defense, run the clock, possession. And Stewart had 18 carries, 65 yards. He had the reception touchdown. McCaffrey had 13 carries for 47 yards. Stewart a long of 10, McCaffrey a long of 11. These aren't mind-blowing numbers by these two guys, but they're effective in what they do for the overall team, and that's all that matters. If you look at Cam, if you were to just watch Cam's plays outside the Russell Shepard touchdown, he did in the fourth quarter. He did start warming up. He had a beautiful laser to Olsen over the middle, but if you were just to watch his play, you wouldn't have thought they won this game 23-3 today.
Yeah, it's surprising watching how the run game just slows the game down, but they're able to get so much done, and I'm glad to see it.
And Russell Shepard, and this is something else. Russell Shepard was the leading receiver, 2 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Next was McCaffrey with 5 catches and 38 yards. And then you had Benjamin with his 1 catch of 25. And Greg Olsen had 2 catches a day for 18 yards. He did draw a couple of pass interference penalties, and there was that one late hit. Yep. But that just kind of shows you, what their game plan was kind of working. And a lot of people were complaining about getting the ball to CMC early and force-feeding him, stop doing this. And there was a time where I'm like, guys, this is getting pretty predictable. But as soon as it got predictable, Shula kind of started going away from it. And he started using that just like we wanted to for bait, and it was opening things up for other guys here and there. I thought pass protection was pretty solid today. The run game, I saw Matt Khalil get beat a couple times. But I thought the pass protection overall, Cam had time. He did well. He just missed a couple of throws, knocking the rust off.
He had time, yeah. And those overthrows, he hasn't played. It's going to take a little bit to get that rust off, but it looked good. And then seeing him be able to scramble and get some of those first downs.
Yep. And I see some people up here talking about defense and any injuries. I don't recall any right now. I know Khalil had went down and he came right back a couple plays later. I don't know if anybody noticed, but Bradbury and Worley both went to the locker room for one offensive drive while the Panthers offense was on the field. They were reportedly getting IVs for dehydration. It was a hot game, so that's good to hear. I didn't see any injuries of note anyway. I think everybody came away pretty healthy, which is always a good thing. That's what hurt us the most last year. Injuries to the offensive line. That's what scares me every game. But that's part of football. Chandre Williams, do you think that's why we don't have a fullback? Is because we're running a 2-back set with Stu and McCaffrey? Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it, but I also think the other reason was freeing up a spot at another position is they decided to keep Cap and Fozzie at the running back position. But also Ed Dixon has been very key. Like if you watch the preseason games, when he lines up at fullback, he did very well blocking and opening holes. And McCaffrey's first touchdown in the preseason against the Jaguars, where he broke it outside, that was sprung free from an Ed Dixon block inside. So I think the versatility of Ed Dixon is paying dividends there, and he had his spot on the roster. So the Panthers are using that. And then, like Sean said, I mean, they're lining these guys up like that and using them for mismatches, and you just don't know what's going to come. That's also another possibility. I think we're starting to see some of these things unfold that way. Evan Walker is Ryan Clue. Okay, yeah, I think he's fine. I think I saw something about he got in a pile. I think they had kind of rolled his ankle, but he came right back in 2 plays later.
What about Worley down?
Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to find a Daryl Worley one here. Sorry, guys. Do you believe Worley will be benched? The man gets burnt to a crisp. Yeah, we talked about this. We talked about this as well. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about it. Worley is obviously our biggest concern in the secondary, I believe. Bradbury has been great. Bradbury was burnt earlier. Goodwin should have had a touchdown and just dropped it. But that's a speed receiver. That's kind of something. He's one of the fastest guys in the NFL as well. But that's one of the things is his hands aren't all that great. So ball went right through the breadbasket. Should have had a touchdown. But back to Worley, Worley's definitely going to be one of the things to watch going forward, because I know Billy and I were just actually talking about this before we started the show, was the secondary, because the front seven, after a shaky 2 first drives, settled in and started locking down, pressuring the quarterback, getting a Hoyer, breaking up the pocket. Star Latulila's playing like a man in a contract year, and he is. He wants to get paid. If he keeps playing like he did today, he will. Julius Peppers is playing out of his mind for 37 years old, and doing really well. But the secondary is definitely something to watch as far as Daryl Worley goes. We talked about this in the preseason. I mean,
yeah, there's the secondary to me is suspect now. You're playing the 49ers, very young team. As they said on the broadcast, it's basically an expansion team because of how young they are. When you put a good quarterback, you put some good receivers out there, they got a long way to go.
Yeah, and I think, and that's a good point. We're talking about Brian Hoyer, and he started off looking pretty sharp, and he's not obviously an elite quarterback or a great quarterback. He can win football games. He's probably not going to take you to the Super Bowl. He's not going to take you to the Super Bowl. Let's just get that straight. But when we come across those more elite quarterbacks, it might be a problem. We'll see then. But his front pressure and the defense, very similar to 2013. One of the reasons the 2013 team was so good, majority of people probably couldn't even name the secondary guys. We had like Drayton Florence, Quentin Michael was back at safety, and people like that just piecing together the secondary. But the front seven was getting pressure on the quarterback and forcing quick, bad throws, and that's what works. And I think that's what the Panthers have kind of built their defense around now. I think the secondary is the best we've had in years, that being said. But to match it with the front seven, if they can keep this constant pressure, is also going to benefit them greatly. I mean,
it's definitely going to help that rush and keeping the contain and keeping the pressure on the quarterback is going to help the secondary. I'm really scared that we could have a meltdown with a good quarterback.
Yeah, I think Billy's on the notion that we're screwed in the secondary, and I'm not quite on that one. Worley is suspect to me at times. He does. I saw somebody say this in the comments. He does tend to bite on things. He had a holding call in this game, and he's definitely no James Bradbury. And the thing with that is if Bradbury's probably not going to get nearly the amount of targets on his side of the field, they're probably going to try to pick on Daryl Worley, and that's something we're going to have to watch against guys like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady in a couple weeks. These are just things we're going to have to watch. I think we got Drew Brees in week 3, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And they're going to try to scheme with that, but he's not the worst. He is not the worst cornerback in the league.
No, he's definitely not the worst. But as you said, he had the holding call against him, but he got away with 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
And so he's got some stuff to make up. I think it's suspect.
Yeah. Thomas Davis returned. He had 7 tackles, lead the team. Kirk Coleman made some great tackles out in space today, hard hitting. He's making that proving that contract and pay right. You got James Bradbury had 5 tackles, and then Luke Kuechly had the pick. How about that daggone pick? That was beautiful. But how he got his hips turned around on that thing, he became like a contortionist. Just turn around lightning quick. This right here is one thing that kind of bothered me, and I think some other people will feel the same. Is the Cam Newton interception? I saw this a couple times, and this is maybe part of him knocking the rust off. But throwing this double coverage, this is a hell of a pick, by the way, by Tart. That was just great athleticism. But I saw this a couple times where Cam threw into double coverage, particularly with Kelvin Benjamin. This isn't anything new, and I think in 2015 this is one of the things we were kind of happy to see. I mean, happy is not a good word because the way KB was injured, and I hate that, and I hope he has a great year. But when he was gone, Cam didn't seem like he had to force the ball to KB so much.
And that was the thing that why they did so well. He wasn't forcing it, and I think at the beginning of the game, first game of the season, first game he's played this season, getting that rust off, he wanted to try it. He tried it a couple, too many times, but like you said, the pick, I mean, it was a good catch.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might not have been caught every other time, but I think that he forced it because it was the beginning of the year. He wanted to try to see what he could do.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about it too is Cam had the time in the pocket on this. He wasn't being rushed, so that's just something you don't like to see. But then he turns around and then he does this a few times too, where he got the ball, he got in trouble, got outside, and then he actually kept his eyes downfield here. Let's wait for it to start. You see CMC go down. He gets pressure. Olsen's wide open over here on the left, by the way, but Cam gets pushed back, keeps his eyes down. Boom, finds McCaffrey, first down on a 3rd and long. And those are the things that you get Christian McCaffrey for right there. I mean, let's see if I can see. There you go. It's going to show Olsen right here. He breaks free over here, and you'll see Newton is looking that way, but he gets pushed back from the left side of his line here. See, gets pushed back. He's going to hit Olsen. Comes back. Good job by McCaffrey getting behind. And boom, first down. And that's what you'll take. I mean, these are one of the reasons you got another versatile weapon like this. This is going to be, we're going to beat a dead horse on this all year. Hopefully, if it'll keep up like that. But there's good stuff there from Cam. Good decision. See if we got some more. Sean, watching highlights, the interception in the end zone was pass interference. Yeah, I saw a couple people talk about that, but it's one of them ticky-tack things. I think we were talking about the Coleman thing where his arm got hit and kind of slowed him up. That's more pass interference to me than what was happening on KB there. And even if it was, my point being is Cam should never throw that ball. And if he feels like he should, go for a run if nobody else is open or throw the ball away. That's been one of our biggest things on Cam. And to start the game, that wasn't the first one he did. He tried to force one to Olsen, and then there was another one to KB. Both were double covered.
Yeah, I don't think that it was. I don't think it was pass interference. He threw it in double coverage. Both players turn their heads.
Yeah.
And it's up in the air. It's free game for anybody. And I thought it was a good call, and it was a great catch.
Now, granted, I'm also not saying if the guy had tackled KB before the ball got there, it shouldn't have been a flag thrown just because he threw into double coverage. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the ball should have never been there in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
If it was one-on-one, I'll take KB's matchup one-on-one all day, and I think that's what Cam was looking for. Like I said, it was also a great job of Tart getting back because he did have some ground to cover. Cam may have underestimated his speed and quickness getting there, and then it was just a hell of a pick. I mean, the interception was just interception was very impressive. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, so Thomas Davis had 1 sack today. Shaq Thompson had a sack. Well, he was laying some people. This whole defense was hitting hard.
Yeah, it was very entertaining to watch. And there was some. Kurt Coleman was laying the wood today.
Yeah, I was like I said early in the game, I was a little worried by the gashing of the run. Kyle Shanahan has success against Panthers defense. Obviously, he was the offensive coordinator from Atlanta last year. And did pretty well with it. But your schemes can only go so far. You have to have the talent as well. They have Pierre Garçon. Goodwin's a speedy receiver, but he's not quite a great NFL, elite receiver, and talent's going to catch up with you at some point. Then you got Brian Hoyer at quarterback. So, you can scheme all you want. And then there was the fourth downs. I think Kyle Shanahan may have gone for all but 2 or 3 fourth downs this whole game. He was 1 of 4 on fourth downs for the 49ers, and they were 2 of 11 on third down. 1 of 4, and 3 of those came, but 2 of them came in the first half.
First half, yeah. And it wasn't, the game wasn't out of hand at the time. I guess he was just trying to get that offense going, but the defense stepped up every time.
Oh, man, the goal line stand was just great. I just wanted to keep him out of the end zone. I wanted to keep it to a field goal. I wanted the shutout. But it just, they were able to make the goal line stand. They gave up a field goal. That's fine. I think anybody would be more than happy to have their defense give up a field goal in a game, and I will live with that.
I would have liked to have the shutout because even the broadcasters – shutouts don't happen in the NFL, and right then we had 0 on the board, and I was like, "Oh, it's about to happen."
Yeah,
we gave up the 3. I'll give up a 3.
Yeah, I was definitely excited about that. We got some comments rolling in here. You wanted the shutout, yeah, I did too.
He's playing Madden.
I'm excited about how the D looks. Yeah, I'm really. I think the defense. A lot of talk got put on the draft and how we got, and we'll talk about Curtis Samuel whenever we're getting to it. But a lot of things got brought on to. Around the draft and the draft picks of the hype around McCaffrey and the Curtis Samuel pick, and everything went to the offense because we had lost Ted Ginn, and obviously the offense took a big dip from 2015 to 2016, mainly because of injuries. But we get these shiny new weapons, and everybody's excited about that, and that's also all really anybody's talking about. But the defense was also, the hype around them coming in and all the off-season acquisitions, getting Captain back, Julius back, signing Quan, signing Mario Addison. Mario Addison, who also had a good game today. He had a sack, but we had a defensive holding that screwed that up, I think. But the defense is definitely one of the more, in my opinion, that's what I was looking forward to more. I was looking forward to the offense as well and seeing what the new, the new look would look like. But the defense is what I was looking for. They did not disappoint after the first couple of drives today, and if they can keep that going, I'm going to be really excited about it going forward.
When I watch Panthers games, I watch for the defense.
Right.
The offense has just been pound and just roll that clock and run the ball. It's never been flashy. I think as the season goes on, we might see a little bit of that with McCaffrey, but I'm always there watching the defense because it's the defense, watching Luke and TD work together, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and the window for some of these guys is getting short on Super Bowls and championships. I know that's the first thing Thomas Davis said when signing the contract. He said there's only one thing left. We need to get a Super Bowl. He knows his window's closing. Julius Peppers knows his is closing. Captain Munnerlin's still pretty young, but he's talked about the emphasis on right now, and I think this team was built to win. This year they finally went out in the offseason. We're trying to get things to win right now. They know they have these core guys on each side of the field, and I think I think right now it looks to be paying off. It's hard to judge it completely against the game against San Francisco, but if you'd have told me we were going to beat this team by 20 points with a rusty Cam Newton, I may have not even with it being 49ers, I was kind of expecting maybe 7-10 point win. But the defense completely dominated, so I'm happy with it. Another key part about that defense, 2 turnovers today led to – was it only 2? I think it was.
It was 2 turnovers led to 2 touchdowns,
right.
And 2 fourth downs failed led to 6 points.
Right, and so 14 points off the 2 turnovers early, and that was a huge success to the 2015 team. Their ratio there was – they had the highest in the league. And that was a huge part, flipping the field there. And then obviously, whatever defensive touchdowns they had. Luke Kuechly, since the last 5 years, since he's entered the NFL, leads linebackers in interceptions during that span. So it's all impressive stuff there. But back to Curtis Samuel for a minute because I know we were talking about him. He was in the game today. I saw some people saying that they didn't see him at all and they wanted to see what his snap count was. I haven't actually seen or looked that up yet, but I know he was in the game. I saw him in early. Actually, the first drive on a third down play, it was Samuel out wide, McCaffrey in the slot, and then Greg Olsen at tight end and running backs. And that was it. Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess, neither were on the field. And I saw Samuel in a couple other times, but he never got a touch. I didn't see him get a target.
Yeah, there was the one play where we were like, where's the ball? where it was that fake in around, and it was Samuel and running in the backfield and it was going the opposite way with McCaffrey.
Right. And I still think they're going to use. I think there's still more to come with Curtis Samuel. He was banged up throughout the preseason. He was studying his playbook. He feels like he's really comfortable with that. He felt like it was kind of, if there was one positive that came out of it, was him being on the playbook and then being able to just study it and get used to it and know. So when he got back in, and he says he's felt comfortable with it. And I still think there may be some wrinkles coming for Samuel. I mean, there were so many wrinkles really today. Well, I don't know if you call them wrinkles, but the effectiveness of Christian McCaffrey being in there was shown today. And there was a lot of that, and that wasn't even including Curtis Samuel, doing a bunch of stuff either. Didn't see a lot of, deep downfield. You didn't see a downfield shot to Curtis Samuel. That's kind of one of the things you thought you could bring him in for Ted Ginn. So we'll see how that does going forward, and we'll see later on in the week if Rivera comments on that at all. Pass rush was effective. Yes, we got to win. This is not for the future. It's for now. When Samuel gets going, it's going to be epic. Yes, if he can get going, it's going to be real good. I agree.
Yeah, you can spread the field out with his speed, and then get them to bite on that speed, and then put McCaffrey right there in the slot.
And that's the thing. I mean, he also did he had a lot of snaps at Ohio State at running back. He had more at receiver, but he lined up close. It was almost a 50-50 split. And that's the thing. If you get these guys motioning out, you can't get but too crazy with this, in my opinion, because soon you get too crazy, it gets ridiculous, and then you're confusing yourself at some point. But having the ability to switch these guys in and out and give different looks, and Samuel's a burner. McCaffrey's got burst, but he's not a burner like Samuel. There's about a 0.2 second difference there on their 40 times. Game speeds are obviously always different, but so we'll see. We'll just see what happens there. Let's see what these comments are going on. Defense was already set once. We re-signed a few if they played to their potential. Still, those see what I was. If you think Chud was still the OC, the offense would still be booming. I think when he was our OC, it was an amazing offensive year. Yes and no. I think the second Chud started to get what I was just talking about. He started to get too fancy at times during his second year before he left for the Browns job. In my opinion, I at the time I saw others kind of agree with this, but I don't. It's hard to tell. He's not here now. I don't know. Shula, I think, did fine today. And at the end of the day, Shula also was the offensive coordinator in 2015. We went 15-1 and had the highest scoring offense in the league. And that's not completely credit to Shula. Cam had a great year, and I'm not saying it's complete credit to Shula. I'm just saying it can be done with Shula. And if he can't get it right, in my opinion, if he can't get it right this year with these weapons by middle of the season, then it would kind of be a problem. That's when I would start getting worried about it, and I think Shula would be gone. I think if they don't even make the playoffs this year, I think Rivera and the whole staff's on the hot seat personally. I think this is a playoff. I think they have to make the playoffs this year. I don't think the Dave Gettleman thing was a complete coincidence. They're already going to be looking for a new GM next year. Supposedly, Marty Herney's not going to be that guy unless we have a great year. Then they may keep him. But I think they're all on the hot seat if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, the Gettleman thing, you got Gettleman going. I think the whole staff is on the chopping block after the move with Gettleman.
Yep. The shutouts playing Madden. The way McCaffrey changes the offense is amazing to me. If Cam settles down and gets accurate, is there any D that can stop us, especially with all the speed and size? It's the NFL, guys. And I saw it's what we keep talking about, versatility. It's great. It's awesome. But there's going to be times you're going to have bad days, and it's not necessarily going to be because, we don't have the talent. I think we have talent. I think we're a playoff caliber team. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're going to the Super Bowl. I can be pessimist at times. I think both of us can. But I like to be optimistic. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're going to run to the Super Bowl because we got Christian McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel, and a better offensive line certainly helps that, and staying healthy. I think we should be a playoff caliber team if we stay healthy the whole year. And I think if that happens, we could make a strong push, mainly because of our defense. And I can't stress that enough. I think the key to 2017 is, one, the offensive line, and two, the defense, both of those staying healthy. But that defense is what's going to be – it's going to keep Carolina's offense on the field and give these guys the opportunities.
Yeah, well, let me see what the question was again. Yeah, the thing is, it changes the offense, and it's amazing. But I think we now have shown what McCaffrey can do. We didn't show that in the preseason. So now they know, hey, this is how we're going to use them. We didn't use them. We didn't do a lot of passes out of the backfield. We didn't run Jonathan Stewart and McCaffrey a lot in the preseason. So now that they've seen it, defenses are going to adapt to that.
Right.
And it's going to get tougher. Of course, when we play a better team, it's going to get tougher.
Right. And we all talked about that through the preseason when, the offense wasn't doing these huge plays and CMC we're doing a lot of wrinkles with them. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to show off anything. And the announcers announcing the game today were talking about that as well. It's like, next week you're going to Buffalo. You're facing Sean McDermott, who already has obviously has familiar. I can't even say it. but he knows some of this offense. He knows what Mike Shula likes to do. But now there's new wrinkles going in. So he's going to have that game tape, and he's going to get to see it. There's going to be times where we get shut down. It's kind of like the read option thing from years ago with Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, and Colin Kaepernick. It was, when it worked for 2 years, it was awesome. Nobody could stop it. And then you learn how to stop it, and now it's gone. The Panthers still run it here and there. Russell Wilson still runs it. You still see some of it here and there, but it's not nearly as heavy as it was back then.
Yeah, when they first came to the league, it was everywhere, and teams, the NFL teams weren't used to that. Didn't know how to deal with it. Now they've seen it. It doesn't happen a lot. It's shut down, and teams will game plan for McCaffrey.
Yep. I'm not talking undefeated or anything. I'm a realist. Yeah. I mean, I believe that. Boom, Baker. Yeah, I'm not saying you're saying undefeated. I think a lot of people would love to see that, but that's obviously, I don't think that's being a realist at all. No playoffs this year should result in cleaning house. Yeah, I definitely think, like I said, I think he's on the hot. I think they're on the hot seat if that doesn't happen. If we stay healthy, I think that's also a key. Last year, I don't think anybody could have made a difference really as far as the Panthers making the playoffs. We lost 5 games by 3 points or less, beat up. We blew fourth quarter leads on the road, and had 6 games. We could have easily been 10-6, 9-7 if we win those 3-point games. A couple of those go on Graham Gano, cough, who didn't miss a field goal tonight. So that's great news too. Should have benefited of a top 10 defense. The defense always had the offense in good conditions. That's a great point. 2013, number 2 defense in the league, 60 sacks. That's what we were talking about earlier with the secondary. That's always a huge key. I mean,
yeah, the defense wins games.
Yep. If you can put the offense in the scoring position, just kind of like in 2015, the offense and defense were both just playing, elite, but the defense set them up a lot of times in great field position, flipping it. So we'll continue to just watch that. I think CMC is going to be good to keep Stu fresh for the fourth quarter. Yep, and that's what happened today. The Panthers got up big and went to the fourth quarter. CMC got a few touches, but Stewart started a couple of those drives and just kept pounding it, chewing the clock. And then CMC came in and got a couple. I think he got 2 first downs on that drive. Ended up running the clock out on one last long drive. So
it's gonna, and having CMC, it could lengthen his career. It could lengthen Stu's career because he's not gonna have to pound. He can get out, and we have the tools now, the weapons for him to get that rest.
Yeah, and Stewart normally misses. I think he's missed like 3 games each year for like the last 3 years or something. And having CMC in there, and those 3 games nearly most of the time have fallen. I think in 2015 they failed the last 3 games of the season, and it was more precautionary just because we had the number 1 seed locked up and we were in the playoffs and they wanted them. But having CMC in there is going to keep him healthy, like you said, and for that stretch run in case we're in a tight race for the division. NFC South is a very tough division. Falcons were able to pull one out thanks to a couple of drop touchdown passes today by some Bears receivers and a Jordan Howard. But it almost blew a double-digit fourth-quarter lead, 10 points. That would have been they'd have never heard the end of that one.
I'm still loving all the jokes.
It will never get old.
Yeah.
28-3. And I thought it was funny that kind of off subject now, but I thought it was funny that the Patriots let the Chiefs go on a 35-10 run. 35 minus 10 is 25, and the Falcons blew a 25-point lead to the Patriots.
Yeah,
oh, man, this has turned into like the movie 23 with Jim Carrey. I'm just going to do every kind of algorithm I can to figure out 25 and 28 and 3 with the Falcons.
They should have never put that score up when they celebrated before that game.
Yeah, they asked for it. That's where that 35-10 run came from. Anyway, so, but guys, I think unless y'all have any more questions.
There's one more.
Oh, sorry. Cam not trying to dive into the defenders and get the touchdown on that fake. Hold on a second. Jared, what's up?
What up, man? What do you think about the game, man?
Oh, you know what I think about it? You know you're on the air right now, right?
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I thought you were calling into the show. See, look at this.
Oh, what's up? What's up, everybody? Whatever podcast I'm on.
You're on that Panthersaurus podcast. Hey, I thought you were calling in. You just call and talk about the game, huh?
I didn't even know you was on the podcast, man. See, everybody know this ain't that fake. You know, on that stage.
Yeah, there you go. Well, what'd you think about it? Now that you're up here, we've been talking about it.
Everything kind of looked a little rusty at the beginning. The defense was lights out, man. Like, I just think Starler probably had the best game of his career, like, today, honestly.
Yeah.
The pressure was there. Mary Addison was definitely, like, plugging up the edge like I ain't never seen him plug it up before. And those goal line stops was, like, top-notch, man. Then Pep, he didn't really have to do nothing. So everybody else just stepped up everywhere, man. Shaq made big plays. Darryl Worley definitely got his face back from last year. Offensive-wise, the offensive line is ready, man. They was real good. Matt Khalil, he stood up.
Yeah, I thought they did really well in pass protection today. And if they can keep that up, that's good. I think he made a key point about Starler Tulele. We were talking about that earlier in a contract year. And he played lights out today, had a big stop by himself, falling to the ground, got the quarter running back down. I think that was actually one of the fourth down stops
where he was falling. He was able to wrap him up by his waist.
Yeah, so we were talking about that, Gerald. I think the defense is going to be really scary. And, guys, in case you haven't noticed, right here to the left, you can call in to the show. We take calls. We want to try to push that some, but we get carried away talking sometimes. But you call this number, and you can talk to us there. If you'd rather do it in the comments, that's fine, too. We're just trying to give y'all options. And at some point, we'll have some guests on, too, doing calls. But like I said, this is my buddy Gerald here right now talking about his take. What were some of the things? Was there anything that surprised you, Gerald?
Russell Shepard surprised me, man.
I think a lot of people were sleeping on Russell Shepard when you had Curtis Samuel.
He always been good. LSU, I'm a big college guy, you know that.
Oh,
but yeah. LSU always produce good wide receivers too, and he just actually got his shot today, and he capitalized. So definitely, I know they're gonna keep him in the rotation now. Norwell was probably the biggest wow to me, man. Like, no pressure came from his side, really. Like, he really stepped up from last year. He just blended in well with, being alongside Matt Khalil. That was real big. A couple plays I seen him open up. He calls double team to open for Stu and McCaffrey right there. If you think back when it was like 3rd and 15, I'm not sure the yardage, but when McCaffrey went up to the middle and Noel just, caused two of the he blocked two guys to open that hole up for him to scatter for the first down. That was real big. That came from his side, not Trey Turner's side, And
I'm a big Norwell guy. I was talking about this when we signed Trey Turner this offseason. I think Norwell's another must sign coming up this year. I think we're finally getting a decent. Well, we're finally getting elite like guards. We need to keep these guys. We keep trying to build and find these offensive linemen for Cam. And if this unit starts to work out, I mean, we signed Matt Khalil to the big contract. We had no choice. We knew that was coming. Well, most of us, I felt like, knew it was coming. And I think Norwell is a guy, because Matt Khalil's already said too, Gerald, that he's feeding off of Norwell's nastiness right beside him. He said it's a big confidence boost. He's learning a lot. And I think Matt Khalil's confidence since he came to Carolina, he hated it in Minnesota. I mean, it's not hidden. It's not, the writing's on the wall there. The fans treated him like crap. He was injured for 2 years after a Pro Bowl rookie year. So, I mean, I think Andrew Norwell is going to be a key part to this offense going forward. If he can keep it up, we need to get him signed and locked up.
I really think, honestly, and I'm going to say it, I think the Carolina Panthers are going to have like the last year Dallas Cowboy offensive line, honestly. Hands down.
Woo.
Just off that game right there.
Comparing them to the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. Woo!
I'm telling you, man. I'm sticking my neck out there right now.
All right. Y'all heard it first. Gerald.
We got Daryl. I mean, we got 2 studs still on the bench that didn't – Wills and, the rookie that we drafted.
Taylor Moton.
Unstoppable in practice.
Yeah.
So just think about that. Like, even we got depth. We never had depth on the offensive line.
I like your optimism.
We had to use it all. We used it all because everybody got banged up. And I don't care what nobody say. Like, Cam did not hit the ground today. That was the main thing going into the season that we need to worry about. And then the boys held up.
Yeah, Cam didn't hit the ground today. You got a point. I like your optimism comparing them to the Cowboys offensive line. I really hope that turns true. I can't say it quite yet, but I'll tell you what, if it happens, if they grade out that way and they do that kind of work and keep Cam clean this year, I will be more than happy. I'll get you something. I'll buy you something. We can consider this a bet right now live.
Hey, man. You want to know why I was so confident to say that?
What's that?
Because the 49ers drafted 2 star stud All-American defensive players, and they both was really non-factors, but one of them, then he ended up getting hurt.
You're right. Solomon Thomas, he made a couple of disruptive plays, but you're right. He didn't. I mean, he didn't have a huge game. You didn't hear his name a whole lot outside of the intros and whatnot. Reuben, I will say this now. Reuben Foster at linebacker was all over the place in that first few drives and was making plays left and right. If he was in that game, if he stayed healthy, some things could have went a different way, I think, in my opinion. But unfortunately, he was out. I hope he gets better. But you're right. I mean, you're not wrong necessarily. They did a great job keeping Cam clean. He had plenty of time. I think he just had a lot of rust today.
Yeah, and I have to give them praise because I'm a fan, and I seen my quarterback get hammered last year to the point where he didn't even know where he was at a couple plays. So I'm giving them the highest praise right now, just off this one game. I'm jumping out there.
I got
I'm
you.
jumping out there, man.
Right.
And not to have a fullback to block. So that's another thing to think about, too. We ain't even carry a fullback over this season. So that's another thing to think about.
Yep. No, I'm with you, man. Well, yeah, definitely. We'll, like I said, you said it first right here on the air. So if it happens, all the glory will go to you. But we're gonna get up here. We're about to get off the show, Gerald. So I'll holler at you a little bit later.
All right, man. Keep pounding, everybody.
I do. Gerald, I thought he was calling. I thought he was on. I thought he just wanted to get on the show or something. But he did. That's all right. Chris Brand says he thinks this background needs a streaker. Well, I'll let everybody else be the judge of that. I don't know that I want you streaking behind me. Maybe some Carolina Panthers top cats or something. I don't know. Can Cam improve his throwing accuracy as the season progresses? I know the rehab off his surgically repaired shoulder has left him a bit rusty, but he missed an easy touchdown pass to Ed Dixon in the end zone. Hopefully he makes the adjustments and uses his new offensive weapons more efficiently. Yeah, that Ed Dixon pass was horrid. There's just no – it was bad. I mean, it was just bad.
Like I said, that was backyard football. That was just lightly toss it, and it's a touchdown. And that was, as we talked at the beginning of the show, that was that first half rust.
Yeah, it's definitely rust. I think, we knew – so we talked about this before. There was going to be some issues with timing. They talked about it in practices leading up to this first game. They got better towards the end of the practices, but there was going to be that issue. And sometimes I just don't think Cam realizes how strong his arm is. He's got a daggone cannon. But it was bad. I think all that's going to come. I think it's all going to be fine, though. I don't think we're going to see him get worse from here on out. We know what Cam can do, unless he, that shoulder takes a bad turn for some reason or he gets injured some other way. I think he'll be fine there.
And as you saw during the game, he's aware of that shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the ground stretching it.
Yeah. Right.
During the stoppages in play, so he's aware of that shoulder, and he wants to baby that shoulder. But I think that throw was just first game.
Yep.
Rust.
And sometimes, and Cam said it too before, and I've heard other quarterbacks say it. Sometimes the most open receivers are the hardest ones to hit because you overthink it. You see him and you're like, he can't be that open, so you do a double take, and then you're trying to get rid of it quick. Maybe that played part of it. I don't know. That was just a bad throw. I think it was rust. Cam's known to overthrow receivers. It's not anything new. It's unfortunate, but shit happens, guys. Anyway, so, well, we're going to get out of here. Hopefully, we got the Panthers take on the Bills next week. First home game of the season. Hey, by the way, look, if you haven't already, the Roaring Riot was out there today, and I'm pretty sure we took more fans to the game than there were total people in the stands because that attendance was terrible. But if you haven't signed up, go to roaringriot.com, check them out. They do away game trips, packages. They get block seats together. It's a great time. We went to Tampa last year, had a blast. But the first home game is next Sunday against the Bills, 1 o'clock. Local ECU product, Zay Jones will be in the house. Didn't do much today, but he'll be in the house. It'll be interesting to watch against this secondary Billy's so afraid of.
I'm not afraid of Zay Jones in the NFL yet.
Woo! Shots fired.
But back to the Roaring Riot. Sign up, try out that tailgate at the home games.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's
fantastic. You can't go wrong. And they're partnered with the Cam Newton Foundation, so all the proceeds go to that. That's their goal every year. They give back. They're trying to change the culture. All kinds of great stuff there, so check that out. But we're going to get out of here. We hope y'all join us next week. Look, y'all don't be afraid to call in now. I'm glad y'all are jumping in the comments. Keep it up. Don't be afraid to call in, talk. We saw Gerald just called. He didn't mean to call in on the show, but we'll take anything we can get. Streakers, football, whatever you want. So we'll see y'all guys next week.